Hey folks, Will here again with Happily Ever Outdoors. So as you can see, it is a beautiful, sunshiny spring day here in the state of New Jersey. A little bit windy, but that's nice because it's really keeping the temperature down. It's nice and cool. You've got a good breeze coming through. I thought this would be a great opportunity to show you guys the 0 degree Mammoth sleeping bag from Teton Sports. Right off the bat, I just want to say thank you to the good folks at Teton Sports for sending this sleeping bag out to us to test and review. I gotta let you guys know that I did get this at no cost to me in exchange for my unbiased opinion, but I'm not a paid representative of the company, so any statements that I make or opinions that I express in this video are my own. The Mammoth 0 degree sleeping bag from Teton Sports currently goes for about $120 online, which is really not that expensive considering that this is a extra large sleeping bag designed to sleep 2 or more people. This sleeping bag is suitable for multi-season use, it's rated for cold temperatures, and it features a sturdy taffeta shell for years of durable dependability. This sleeping bag also features sturdy oversized metal zipper pulls on all 3 sides, allowing you to open this sleeping bag up for extra ventilation. Actually, you could split it into 2 pieces and use it as a blanket, or you could connect multiple Mammoth sleeping bags together to make an even larger sleeping space. In my opinion, one of the coolest features of this sleeping bag, given that it is a family style sleeping bag, is the fact that it still features a full mummy style hood. This is nice and padded, which is, good, makes it extra comfortable. And you can see there is a kind of tube of padding that goes all the way around here. You've got Velcro tabs here to secure the sides of the sleeping bag like you would see on any other mummy style sleeping bag. And you can also see drawstrings right here on the hood, as well as down here along this section of padding that'll go through. So when you're laying inside here with your partner, you'll be able to cinch that up to give you a nice seal for colder weather. So really great to see that in a family style sleeping bag. Normally a sleeping bag like this, performance kind of goes out the window, but I love the fact that they do include those practical features for colder weather. One thing that you will need to keep in mind before you purchase this sleeping bag is that it is very large and it's also heavy. It comes in at right about 16 pounds. So this is definitely not going to be an ideal sleeping bag for long hiking or backpacking trips. However, this is ideal for car camping or taking with you in your camper. Maybe you'd have an extra sleeping bag around the house for when you have guests or in an emergency like a power outage, things like that. But it is definitely not an ultralight sleeping bag by any means. Luckily, when Teton Sports sent this sleeping bag to me to test and review, I was already taking some time off from work. So I had about a period of a week where I was able to test it out, sleeping outside in this sleeping bag, in this tent you see right here, to see really how it performs. Now keep in mind, this is right around the end of April, beginning of May here in the state of New Jersey. So if you don't like the weather at any given time, give it about 5 hours or so and you'll get something different. So that's the way it was over that period of about 5 days. One day it was really hot and humid. The other day it was cold and damp. And then the very next day it was hot, windy, and stormy. And then the night after that, it was very cold overnight. So I saw a lot of fluctuation over that period of time. One thing about this sleeping bag, it is very warm when you have everything zipped up, especially if you cinch down that mummy hood, and also if you have more than one person in this sleeping bag. That makes a huge difference sharing that body heat. That being said, even in warmer weather, the great thing about this is, as I mentioned earlier in the video, you have these zippers on both sides as well as at the bottom. So you can actually open up the sleeping bag as much as you want to. So one night I started to get too hot. All I did is I completely unzipped the feet of the sleeping bag and boom, I was completely comfortable. So you've got a lot of room for adjustment. Again, if it was a really hot night, you could actually just unzip the sleeping bag down one side, down the bottom, open it up just like a big blanket and just lay on it and use it for that purpose. So a lot of flexibility. However, you do have that ability to get very warm if you need to. One thing to keep in mind, however, with the temperature ratings, when you hear that this is a 0 degree sleeping bag, that doesn't mean that this is like an extreme cold weather sleeping bag. That 0-degree rating is for survivability. That means that if it gets down to freezing, that this sleeping bag will keep you alive overnight. It doesn't mean it will keep you comfortable. So don't think this is like some Arctic survival sleeping bag that's going to be way too hot. Keep that in mind always when you're looking at temperature ratings, to make sure you have the appropriate sleeping bag for your climate and for your time of year. Now, one of the things that I love about this sleeping bag is just how big it is. They kind of advertise it as like a 2-person sleeping bag, but in reality, you could get like 2 adults, 2 small children, your dog, and a half a dozen coconuts inside this sleeping bag and be perfectly comfortable. It's really, really big. Gives you plenty of room to move around. The cushioning is very thick too. I mean, almost like luxurious when it comes to sleeping bags, honestly. So it does kind of give you that comfort of home a little bit. I laid on this on the ground in my tent with no sleeping pad or anything like that underneath it. Again, it was like a period of 5 days, and I did not wake up with any aches or pains or anything like that. I was still comfortable. So this thing definitely is Mammoth. The name is not an exaggeration whatsoever. In every sense of the word, it's a big sleeping bag. Perfect for car camping. Another example, my family, we have a pop-up camper. If you're not familiar with those, it's sort of like a hybrid between a tent and a camper. It all collapses down, the roof collapses down, and it's all flat and hard-sided trailer. And then you crank the roof up. You've got things on the end that slide out to give you your beds, and you've basically got like vinyl canvas type material on the sides with zip windows and stuff like you would see on a tent. So really great, super practical, super easy to tow, and it's nice because you get that sort of like camping in a tent experience, but you got some of the conveniences that you get with a camper. Only downside is they're not sealed up very tight, so they get hot in the summer. Air conditioning doesn't really work well in them, and they get very cold in the winter. A sleeping bag like that would be great for that type of camping because you're not going to have to lug this heavy sleeping bag around. But I know inside of our camper, it would literally cover pretty much the entire bed area with one giant sleeping bag, and so that would be super comfortable. I cannot wait. It's actually just getting into spring now, so we're getting ready to take our camper out of storage, probably I would say within the next month or something like that, when I have a little more time off from work, and I'll be very, very excited to put this thing to use doing that kind of camping. By the way, I'll put the exact dimensions of the sleeping bag up on the screen again for you, but this tent you're looking at right here is like a 3 to 4 person backpacking tent, and you can see that this sleeping bag basically fills the entire thing. So if you're the kind of family that doesn't mind cuddling up together, or if you're just a couple going out camping together, you're going to a campsite where you can just pull up and unload your stuff, so weight's not a consideration, this would be an ideal sleeping bag for you. By the way, I forgot to mention that this sleeping bag does also come with a handy extra large compression sack that you can stuff it into. So I'll go ahead and add something into the video there so you guys can see what that looks like. So bottom line, is it worth the money? I would emphatically say yes. If I had paid the full price of $120 for this sleeping bag, I would not have been disappointed whatsoever. This is a really great sleeping bag, really well designed, really good materials. I love all the extra features like the mummy hood that I mentioned, having the zippers that you can open up down the sides. You can tell that Teton Sports really built this product with the customer in mind, with the user in mind, and so many products. Reviewing gear, you see so many products that are made with the manufacturer in mind. They do what's easiest for them, what's cheapest for them, what's simplest for them so they can make the most profit. They do the very bare minimum to halfway satisfy the customer so they can go ahead and take their money. I love it when you see products like this every now and then where every little detail is thought through. all the extra features, the stuff that I wished would have been in other family-sized sleeping bags, they put it in there. So thank you, Teton Sports. Honestly, this is a really great product. I am very excited. I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of this thing. I'm honestly thinking about buying another one for my kids. I mean, they're that great. By the way, you can get different colors. This is the teal, which I thought my wife would like, so I requested that one. You can also get it in a bright orange color, as well as a more traditional kind of hunter green shell with like a plaid liner, if that's more your style. But a really great product, really well put together, definitely worth the money, and this is definitely a sleeping bag that gets the HEO seal of approval. All right, folks, this concludes our review of the Teton Sports Mammoth 0 Degree Sleeping Bag. Feel free to leave your comments and questions below, and make sure you subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.